Welcome to the Elevate the Vibe podcast, bringing you juicy convos with thought leaders discussing the wild world of parenting.
Happy Thanksgiving, Vibe Hive. It's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, meaning you're 2 days away from Black Friday, which means that you're 5 days away from Cyber Monday, and you're about 29 and a half days away from Christmas. And if you're still counting, you're 367 days away from next Thanksgiving, meaning that today is Wednesday, and it's time for the Elevate the Vibe podcast with your favorite host and co-host, myself and my beautiful wife, Caitlin A.R. Berlin.
The holidays are definitely a time of year when there's a lot to be excited for. There is a lot to celebrate, but it brings up a lot of feelings for many people. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about boundaries in the holiday season. So it's no surprise that last year, a lot of traditions for people were completely thrown off in 2020. You may have celebrated over Zoom. You may have celebrated by yourself. You may not have celebrated anything at all. That time may have given you space and distance away from typical events, people you hang out with, celebrations that you participate in, and you might be rethinking your choices this year and just determining, how do I want to spend my time? How do I want to spend my energy? I was listening to a podcast recently with a boundary expert. Her name is Nedra. You can find her on Instagram at that handle. And she posted a Instagram post recently where she talked about, like at a high level, boundaries that you can create for yourself during the holiday season. Now, this isn't, I would say this isn't just for family. This is boundaries you can create for yourself in general for the holiday season. I'm going to read off her tips and we can kind of talk about this a little bit and how you might put this into play or how you're thinking about it. But I can't claim this as my own. This is from an expert. All right. Number 1. It's not everyone else's holiday. It's yours too. Therefore, your needs matter. Sometimes you can feel like if somebody's inviting you over to their home, you're walking into their space, and it's kind of like, okay, well, if I'm coming into your space, it's your rules. That may not be true. So for example, we have young children. Let's say that someone invited us over and those people were very affectionate and wanted to hug and kiss and wanted to give our kids, a big hug and kiss. And it's like, okay, well, we do not condone that. Our needs matter too. So in that moment, you might need to create a boundary where it's like, oh, thank you. We're not showing physical affection right now. And that might be something on a lot of people's mind because of the past year. It's like you don't necessarily want to go down a path of like, hey, can you wear a mask? Hey, did you get a vaccine? Hey, did you have a cough last week? Because I don't really want to be around you if you felt sick. So creating that for yourself, it can be hard. It can seem difficult. And as parents, doing that for your children on your children's behalf too might feel tough, but it will feel a lot better for you as you step into these situations to know that you're kind of drawing a line in the sand and you feel comfortable with your choices.
Now, do you do that when you walk into this person's home and they try to give you a hug and you just say, oh, I'm sorry, we're not doing hugs today? Like the second you arrive? Like how do you do that in a way that doesn't offend the person that you're going to see?
I think that you have to stand up for yourself and say it immediately. Like, for example, if someone wants to, they greet you, they want to give you a big hug, they want to give you a kiss right on the lips. There are family members that like to do that. Yeah, I know. Jason and I are looking at each other with kind of this look like, yeah, that's weird. But there are people that kind of just like to do that. They think it's customary and it's like,
it's creepy.
No, thank you. I think that your body language can be standoffish. You can just wave and say, oh, hi, yes, it's great. Oh, we're not doing close contact this year.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Like, we're just greeting, we're keeping our health at bay. You could also say, we all have measles.
Yeah, that
would
always
help.
works.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, that would.
Nobody wants measles.
Yeah, that would quickly, you might not be invited back ever again. And if that's your goal, that could work as well. I'm not a fan of lying. I'm a fan of standing up for yourself. But you can let your body language do the speaking for you. If people are very aggressive and they don't pay attention, if they're really the type that overstep, I think you need to just be a little bit forceful. It will be uncomfortable, but you have to make the choice. Am I going to put myself and my family in an uncomfortable situation so that someone else feels better, or do I have to disappoint that other person so that I feel better? And when it comes to the relationship that you have and your health or your safety for not just you but your children, you have to make that decision. Is it grandma and maybe it's the last time you're ever going to see her and she wants to give you a kiss on the cheek, and it's like, you know what, that doesn't bother me so much.
So you tell her to fuck off because I'm not trying to be close to you this year. Well,
that's
grandma.
what I'm saying. You have to make that decision. Yeah. Maybe for that one person it is okay, you give them a big hug, but everyone else you're like, actually no thank you, I don't really feel comfortable with that, and that's okay. It's not one size fits all.
Right.
It's
one size fits most.
This is a custom tailored holiday boundary situation. Cool. Okay. Number 2, laying out your boundaries ahead of time can prevent issues on the day of.
That sounds more what I would be doing.
Yes. That can be tough though. Maybe you're going to an event where there's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to text every single person there and say, hey, great Uncle Joe and Aunt Jill, we're not hugging this year.
No.
It's like you've seen them 3 times in your life. Are you going to say that? Maybe not. But you can, maybe it's like, hey, we're going to come for 30 minutes. We're going to drop off this dish and then we need to leave. Something like that where you're letting the host know, or you're letting maybe the group know that you have a certain boundary around your time there and you're leaving. So there's not an expectation like, oh my God, you just got here. What do you mean you're going to leave?
Yeah.
You're going to ruin my holiday if you leave, a guilt trip of something like that. It's like, okay, no, I'm coming, I'm dropping this off and I'm leaving because that's what feels good for me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's common sense to just do something like that to let the host know. I don't feel like that's unruly or out of line.
Number 3, you don't need to be the hero and do everything on your own. Ask for help in the kitchen. Ooh, this one can be tricky and tough because maybe you're in a relationship where this is your very first time hosting. Maybe you're trying to impress a difficult mother-in-law or father-in-law or sister-in-law or someone else, or I've always hosted and you want to host this year, and you're like, the fuck I am going to ask for help. I'm going to do that shit on my own, and Martha Stewart is going to drive by this house and be like, God damn, look at that holiday. Yeah, girl.
Snoop Dogg will also think that it's awesome.
Snoop Dogg will be there, taking the skin off the turkey and taking a little bite.
Just a little one.
Yeah, goddamn, this is delicious. So you don't need to be the hero and do everything on your own. Ask for help in the kitchen. This may not be in the form of someone else actually helping you. This might be in the form of Whole Foods Market roasted vegetables, picked up 2 pounds, and those are the veggies I'm serving. That's fine. The apple pie? No, I didn't make that shit myself, Grandma. I'm sorry if that ruined your holiday, but my good old friend Marie Callender made that shit for me.
Marie knows how to make a mean pie, so.
Yeah, you don't need to be the hero and do everything on your own. Ask for help in the kitchen. Another way, oh, hey, can I help you? Yes, I'm going to go upstairs and take a bath. You can clean this up.
That's the best help, honestly, especially after you've been slaving in the kitchen for 4 or 5 hours. If you want to help in the kitchen, just do some dishes.
Just clean this up for me.
Clean this shit up because we are exhausted. It's already mentally stressful having your ass over here in the first place.
Right.
Like, clean up some stuff. We're going to get the kids to bed and go outside and smoke a bowl.
On that note.
Katie's like, no, I'm not.
Number 4, people will be themselves. Consider this before extending an invite or accepting one. If there is a family member or a friend, it could be a friend or a family member. Let's say that somebody's always on you about something, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what the topic is, but they're just on you and they like to kind of bother you and hound you and they think it's funny.
I don't hang out with people who give me shit. Like, are people forced to hang out with these people like that?
Yeah, there can be people that just are like, they don't take cues that something is an off limit topic and they just kind of keep, someone's like, oh, you're still single? Like, okay, fuck you.
Yeah, well, that ant has been kicked down the curb a long time ago.
But there are people. So who are you dating? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Go suck a dick. All right? Leave me alone. Well, I mean, sometimes it's just like people don't want to go down that path.
No,
It's not anyone else's business what's happening in your life. If it's something you want to share, you'll share it. So people will be themselves. Consider this before extending an invite or accepting one. Like if you are already mentally exhausted or prepping for battle before you go to an event, I mean, maybe this is even a work event. Like if you have to skip that event because your toxic boss is going to be there and it's like, if I have to spend one more minute with this person, I am going to vomit. Like, don't go, It's like, no, sorry, peace. See you next week, next year, or never.
Right.
Number 5, if the conversation goes off course, don't match the energy in the room. Woo! That's a big one. There is a lot that has transpired over the past year. There are a lot of opinions that fly around. It can be divisive. It can be snarky. It can be just a tornado of like negativity, and you don't want to get pulled into that vortex. Don't match the energy. Just take the high road. Like, be polite, do what you got to do. If your boundary is I am going to show up but I'm not going to engage, you just figure out how you disengage. Meredith Marks, housewife, Salt Lake City, she just says I'm not engaging. Like, if that's what you need to say, like, I'm not engaging in this, I'm disengaging. And you piece yourself out, get in your Tesla and drive home, like, whatever you got to do. Don't match the energy in the room. Keep your sanity. It's like, do you feel better if you fire off that nasty text to someone? Or do you really feel better if you just never did it and you are like, you know what, silence is golden here.
I mean, this also kind of reflects back to the one you already talked about, who you're going to extend invites to, because hopefully you're not inviting the fire starter relative or the dickish friend who's going to start shit at your holiday party. So.
Or sometimes like a conversation might veer in a direction where you do respect the people that you're with and you enjoy being with them, but maybe it's just one topic. It's like, maybe it's just one topic that bothers you. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm just not, these relationships are too important to me to have a fight over this right now, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's the holidays and whatever.
People
are going to have their opinions regardless. So are you going to fight people at the holidays? It's like, no one wants to be that drunk uncle.
Yeah, well, it's not that it's always like one person, but maybe just the topic goes to something that you don't want to talk about. And it's like, maybe it's vaccines. It's like you can respect everyone in the room, but it's like, you know what? This is a topic that I don't want to talk about. And you're like, disengaging. Number 6, know when to leave the gathering, develop an exit strategy. If you need to develop an exit strategy, it might be time to ask yourself if you even want to go in the first place. It's like, but let's say that you recently decided that you no longer want to drink alcohol and you still want to be with your friends and you still want to enjoy time with everyone, but you're not drinking, and that's a struggle for you. So you decide, I will stay up until a certain point, and then at that point, I'm going to leave. So it's, you still want to attend the event, but for your own personal benefit and your health and your mental health, you decide, after the meal is over, when everybody kind of wants to sit around and have like one more drink, I'm actually just going to leave. I'm just going to leave. I think that the exit strategy will save you a lot of time, a lot of energy, a potential headache, but it'll make you feel empowered in your boundary.
One of the mantras you used to live by was nothing really great happens after midnight. So that's kind of a good exit strategy right on its own, is that, you take a look at that clock and it's like, well, how many drinks have I had? And like, what kind of shit am I really going to start if I stay here longer? Maybe you've chatted with your significant other, or you already have something else you got to do the next day. So that you got to calm down with the drinks a little bit and, have some sort of plan in place to escape if things start getting a little crazy.
That brings up another good point, is to have like a code word or like a physical code that you do with, if you're going with a friend or you're with a significant other, or it's maybe like a family member that you're tag teaming an event. Having like a little code word, or like you pull your ear or you rub your eye 3 times, something like that. And that's like, okay, because then if the two of you are on the same page and it's like one of you is doing that signal, it's like, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a certain time, but it's just like it's an energetic situation, because it's, maybe you're there and it's like, okay, like I've had enough of this, and you give your significant other, your friend, or your other family member the signal of like, it's time for us to bounce. That's always a good way to do it. And this doesn't just apply for holiday events. This is like any event. Jason and I used to have a little code word when it was like, okay, we're done. We don't really have to do that anymore.
Wait, what was it?
I can't tell, because then we'll give ourselves away. But it was a food.
It was a food?
It was a food.
I don't remember this.
Yeah.
What was the food?
Okay, I'll remind you later. But we did have a little code word for when we were ready to bounce. So just a
was
good...
it hamburgers?
I mean, that could have been it, Jason. That could have been it.
Could have been it.
But Vibe Hive, we want to know from you, how do you maintain boundaries? How do you maintain your peace during the holidays? What are some of the key tactics that you implement to ensure that you don't get too caught up and not feeling like yourself, or you're protecting your energy when it comes to this time of year? Let us know on our most recent post. And as always, thank you for rocking with us.
Word. Happy holidays.
Peace. Hey there, Vibe Hive babes. If this podcast has brought you any value, please rate and review on your favorite listening platform. And if you're feeling really generous, share with a friend. Visit us at elevatethevibe.co for show notes on this episode and previous episodes. This podcast is intended to educate, entertain, and inspire. It is not intended to diagnose, treat, or substitute for professional medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider with any questions you may have. And as always, thank you for joining us to elevate the vibe.